The Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication at Arizona State University is a proud supporter of Indian Country Today. Students at Cronkite News and Gaylord College at the University of Oklahoma cover indigenous communities together. This important work is distributed by more than 100 news organizations. This collaboration provides a much-needed boost to coverage of Native American communities nationwide. Learn more at cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
This is Indian Country Today.
Esquili, yes, thank you for joining us. I'm Patty Talohungva. The Native American Rights Fund is filing a class action lawsuit on behalf of 5 tribal nations and 18 individual plaintiffs in Montana. The lawsuit accuses the state of failing to fulfill a constitutional mandate that was passed in 1999. The mandate says public school students must be taught the history and culture of the First Peoples in Montana. It also says the state must consult with local tribes. The lawsuit, Yellow Kidney versus Montana Office of Public Instruction, says there's little evidence the state is complying with the law and says schools are not being monitored in how they are spending the money meant for this specific curriculum. The state, according to the lawsuit, has no reports of how tribal consultation is taking place. The San Manuel Band of Mission Indians is celebrating its casino's 35th anniversary tomorrow with the opening of Phase 1 of its expansion project. The tribe is located near the city of Highland, a town in Southern California. It got into Indian gaming with a bingo hall that opened on July 24, 1986. It's grown through the years, and now this expansion will give the casino 2 new floors of gaming, more than 1,500 additional slot machines, and a high-limit gaming room. The Serrano people who make up the San Manuel tribe have a culture of giving. With proceeds from the casino, they have been able to practice the tradition of yawa, to act on one's belief. They have partnered with charitable organizations to address challenges communities face. An effort to combat water accessibility on the Navajo Nation is paying off. In November, water bottle maker Nalgene launched the Water is Life bottle and made a pledge to donate $5 from every sale to nonprofit organizations working to bring water to the rural Navajo communities. Now, 8 months later, Nalgene reports it has donated more than $44,000. It was designed by 20-year-old Jaden Redhair, who is an engineering student at Stanford University.
I remember when it first kicked off, I remember people messaging me on Facebook and Instagram saying, hey, got your bottle, or posting photos of my bottle when they're out hiking or something. And from random people, so many different people. And I was so surprised to see how many people found me, reached out to me and showed me that they had the bottle that I created. And it was really cool to see all that and to see everybody go in and to really contribute and to really advocate for drinking water, especially on the Navajo Nation, for water accessibility.
The money was given to Dig Deep, a nonprofit serving Americans who struggle to access water. The Apple original film, Killers of the Flower Moon, is taking over the town of Pawhuska, Oklahoma. Roads are closed, crews are walking around, and a lot of security is on hand to protect the set. Caitlin Anawa-Boisel spoke with the Osage News and the Osage Election Office about what it's like for their offices to be a part of the movie set.
Around 3,000 people live in Pawhuska, and once Hollywood moved in for the summer, the population doubled.
One day we looked out the window and there was Leonardo DiCaprio and Martin Scorsese, and we were panicked.
Everything changed from the front of their own office to the dirt on the road. Hollywood transformed downtown Pawhuska to the 1920s. But just 2 doors down, the Osage News sign was changed to the local paper in the film.
Now, in the film, our office is the Fairfax Chief, which is the name of the real-life newspaper of Fairfax, Oklahoma, and it is still in existence today.
The changes reflect an era that is important and tragic for the Osage people. Killers of the Flower Moon addresses the murders of Osage people at the hands of white people who wanted to gain control of their mining rights. The story centers on one Osage family who was targeted by white men. The men married sisters and systematically killed them and took over their oil property. Many Osage people hope the movie really brings that history to light.
The Osages and their culture and their what they went through and how they survived this.
Still, some Osage people have mixed feelings on the film.
This part of history was not told in their history classes in high school and college. And so with that said, it has brought about feelings of thankfulness that the story is getting out there.
Filming is expected to end in September. In Pawhuska, Oklahoma, Caitlin Anawa Boycell, Indian Country Today.
And those are the headlines from Indian Country Today. I'm Patty Talohungva. Up next, Mark Trahant wraps up a week of reporting from 2 major Native American conferences in Las Vegas. Stay with us.
This is Indian Country Today.
ICT was at the Reservation Economic Summit and the National Indian Gaming Trade Show and Conference. It's the first time these 2 major events have been held at the same time and in the same location. We bring you highlights from our conversation with tribal leaders and entrepreneurs from across the country. First, let's hear from Chris James, the head of the National Center for American Indian Enterprise Development that sponsors the Economic Summit known as Res 2021. High vaccination rates in Indian country gave them the courage to go ahead with this first major event since the pandemic shut down things.
And that's one of the reasons why we decided to partner with NIGA and even we partner with the American Indian business leaders as well to say let's try to have a safe event. Indian country vaccination rate is higher than anywhere in the nation, and we feel that our tribal leaders have really taken that extra effort to make sure our communities are safe. We will continue probably always having a virtual option. If it's here at Res, if it's doing our Native Edge Institute's training, it really has opened up our networks. We still love to have in-person meetings. I think that there's a value to sitting here with you, but there's also a value to be able to reach into areas that we've never able to get to, or maybe folks that have access on their phones can still watch one of our trainings, or even get one-on-one support or counseling through Zoom. So I know that is something that will stick around. I think a second thing, people will, as their businesses get back up and going, or they continue to there's a lot of out-of-the-box thinking that's occurred this past year, because it could be something simple as like how you redesigned your dining room, or how you outreach to customers. So more use of technology, more thinking how we do things a little differently. I think that's going to stick around.
The National Center has a deep commitment to youth programs, sponsoring events just for young entrepreneurs.
In 2020, here at Res, right before the pandemic hit, we did a youth business plan where we had judges and competitions, almost like a Shark Tank. I think it was pretty amazing. The winner of that business plan was a company called Acorn Bites, and they actually are still in business. They purchased a trade show booth on their own this year. They're selling their product nationwide. And I'm so excited that we were able to plant that seed and give them that drive. And now this company is starting to grow and starting to diversify and starting to change during a very difficult time in our country for small businesses. So those are the successes we like to see here at Res. And we partnered with the American Indian business leaders at their annual conference this past weekend. And seeing those kids, they're like, this is the first time I'm going to be able to network with businesses that look like me and people that look like me. And seeing the leaders on stage and seeing and hearing all of the business expertise that'll be happening this week. And that's important. And when you see those mentors and when you see those people, one of those kids are going to say, I want to be just like that guy, and I'm going to grow my business, and I'm going to do that.
ICT reporter Aaliyah Chavez spoke with folks as they were checking in for Res 2021.
It's time again for the lanyards and goodies. Rez is back in full swing this year after a 4-month delay due to COVID. It was held in March last year, just before the pandemic hit the U.S.
Attending Rez has always been a dream of mine.
Georgette is the owner of a small business in Idaho that sells powwow supplies, and she says she's looking forward to networking.
This is our first conference, and we're a little nervous, you know, in the aspect of COVID and the variants and things like that, but we feel like we'll be safe with, you know, prayers and our masks and, you know, just taking the proper protocol in order to try to protect ourselves.
The conferences will span 4 days in total and will host thousands of people. Attendees like Dawn Cardenas say she was eager to get back.
I'm really excited to be here. I was like one of the first people to run to get a vaccination because I have to take care of business for my tribe.
Attendees will have opportunities to attend workshops, take professional headshots, and even get a chance at a sneak peek of a new television show with Native production teams.
I love to go to all the breakout sessions and just be like taking notes, and I love that. The networking is great, but I just love that. I don't get time in my job to do that anymore.
While other attendees say they are concerned about the spreading Delta variant, they believe that many conference goers will be vaccinated due to high vaccination rates across Indian country. In Las Vegas, Aaliyah Chavez, Indian Country Today.
Abigail Echohawk is the Chief Research Officer for the Seattle Indian Health Board. She's been a leader in helping tribes understand the impact of coronavirus.
We did the very first survey in Indian Country looking at what are the beliefs, perceptions, and attitudes of Native people. And we found that 74% of Native people said they'd get vaccinated because they wanted to make sure that our people were safe, our elders, our tribal members. And they were doing it not as an individual decision, but one that was beneficial to the community. That's public health. And we've seen that happen. The Indian Country right now, American Indians and Alaska Natives have some of the highest rates of vaccination of any racial or ethnic group in the country, but it's also regional. We have to understand that there are some tribal communities that have a lot of hesitation, and there are some tribes with vaccination rates of only 35%, while others have more than 90%. So there's also variability within that. And so we really need to concentrate on getting good information to tribal people who have hesitations. So we're about to launch another survey that is going to be working with and understanding people who are hesitant so we can get them good information to make a good choice for their communities. We saw last year in terms of the rate of flu, an incredible drop nationwide and in Indian Country. And that's because people were washing their hands, social distancing, and wearing masks. All of those precautions are public health precautions that allow us to stop the spread of disease. And so we could reduce flu in our community by better hand washing, by continuing to practice good social distancing. And for some folks, they're going to continue to mask, and you should respect that when folks decide that they're going to continue to mask regardless of them being vaccinated or being around people who are vaccinated. It's a good personal choice for people to make. I was just here at the NIGA conference, and I shared with the participants is that as somebody who directs a tribal epidemiology center, I feel that I'm engaged in a native tradition. I'm looking to the past of the data of COVID-19 to understand what we need to do in the present, to make decisions for the future and preparing for possibilities like boosters, preparing for making sure that we can get our people vaccinated with good vaccination campaigns. That is a 7 generations look. That's looking to the past for the present to know what our future should look like for the next generation.
That was Abigail Echohawk from the Seattle Indian Health Board. When we come back, we'll take a closer look at tribal casinos and gaming. Ernie Stevens Jr. is the chairman and national spokesman for the National Indian Gaming Association. He's led the organization for almost 20 years. The Gaming Association was forced to cancel its conference in 2020 at the very beginning of the pandemic.
What we've been through the last 2 years, or nearly 2 years, is just, there's all kinds of stories. Some are emotional, some are frustrated, and some are just flat out angry, But we're going forward today, and here at Vegas is a giant step forward for us. But yeah, we're ready. We were ready to roll. Literally, I think it was like 2 weeks. And when I informed the executive board of the National Indian Gaming Association, as we were doing that, the governor shut down the state. That's what the timing was. Now, I don't know if that was lucky timing, if I took a little too long to cancel that postpone that conference. But here we are. This is it. This is what we got, and we're excited about it. Mark, the biggest thing to understand as we talk today is those tribal leaders, the hit they took, those regulators, those gaming professionals, the responsibility they have, especially the leadership. A lot of people weren't too patient with it when they got to go home from work. When their unemployment, they say that was good. I don't think there's anything good about unemployment, but they say that the bonuses helped them. Sure, that's what they were there for. But nothing is good about going home when you've been someplace 10 years, 20 years, some people 30 plus years went home, and then trying to understand how to come back out of this. Indian gaming has done strong in the comeback, but you can't replace something when you just shut it down. You can't just find the money to rehire people or put people back to work, rebudget those positions, so you have to rank them, and that's the tribal leader's job. That's what they sign up for. But I really, really support them because they went through heck in trying to keep their people, their communities safe, and keep their economy going forward. And here we are. It's still a lot of work to do. I think they made good decisions because there's a lot of lives, I believe, were saved by the response of the tribes and the communities, and especially the tribal leaders. I try to stay with the fist bump if I can. We're doing a little handshaking. Most of us are trying to wear our mask, and I think we're getting better. It's a little bit slower, but I think everybody understands in order for us to get better, we have to follow the rules and try to be safe and distance. So I think that kind of hinders it, but I tell you, when you see them, it's almost like going back in time when you even seeing you coming down the hallway. They said, "Hey, we're there. As long as we're careful, as long as we're safe, it's nice to get the people around the table." That's my favorite thing. My father said that you get the people around the table, and the Indians always figure it out, always. And that's always been my policy. That I may be a figurehead, but the role I have as a figurehead is to bring the tribes, the leadership together so they can figure out what we need to do. And then I get my marching orders from them. So I'm excited about us seeing the leadership. I'm nervous too. It's really, we do this all the time for years. I ran for first vice president in 1995. I was 34 years old. And then these conferences and trade shows and legislative summits, we've all done this. And very few people in this world have done it more than me. That might be you.
Victor Rocha is the conference chair at the National Indian Gaming Association and the founder of Pechanga.net, a website for native gaming news. The conference and trade show was held at the new Caesars Forum.
We're in a brand new facility. They've never had a big conference in there before. It's 500,000 square feet, no columns. It's divided into 4 different rooms, 105,000 square feet, 105, and then 240s. And then all the extra space adds up to 50,000. So if anybody's doing math, it all adds up, trust me, I did it. And it's carpeted, it's new, massive, it's a huge ceiling. So I think we can have the separation that we want, and people can go in, they're not gonna feel claustrophobic, we're not gonna be piling everyone in. So it's really I believe I was told it was the second largest freestanding conference space in the world. So we got really, really lucky to get that space, and it's very opulent, very beautiful, and brand new. People come here because they want to see what's new and what's next. And the fact that NIGA is the first gaming conference in the world to come out, gives us an advantage, and we're taking advantage. And I think that's one of the reasons why everyone has responded as they have, because the fact that we are first, and being first, it means you can help showcase the technology. And it's really all about technology now. Mobile, gaming, on-premise mobile, sports betting is a really big deal right now. And then, one of the big topics for us will be post-pandemic recovery. That's very important. But technology's first. You go down to the casinos, you walk through it, you see them everywhere. They're more interactive, more. I think a lot of the stuff, though, what people don't know is the stuff that's behind the scenes, and that's also very important for us in our business and expansion and stuff like that. So the fact that the tribes just jump right in with both feet, there's no digital divide when it comes to technology in Indian country. The tribes know exactly what to do with the technology and how to harness it and how to make a living from it too. So it's pretty exciting.
That was Victor Rocha, Conference Chair for the National Indian Gaming Association. ICT reporter Aaliyah Chavez takes us to the trade show floor.
1, 2, 3.
The doors officially opened Wednesday for Indian country's largest gaming trade show. The Expo in Las Vegas is a place for exhibitors to meet casino owners. There are vendors here for everything from bingo and slot machines to playing cards and poker. Tribal leaders like Jordan Dresser say the Expo provides the perfect atmosphere for finding new products and staying in touch with what's new.
We're looking for ways to upgrade, to change things up, and just to kind of get a pulse of what's going on in the industry.
Other tribal leaders say the show is important to attend because gaming brings in large revenue and jobs to their citizens.
It is. We're a small rural county up in Northern California, and we're the 4th or 5th largest employer.
Stacy Carmen says aside from the products, she learned a lot here about how to keep people safe in her casino.
I know that I really enjoyed, we both did the MMIW session that they had, which is a little different from gaming, but the speaker did such an excellent job of telling us how it really is part of gaming and how we can get trained and learn how to identify young girls that are being trafficked. And so for me, that was just really an awesome takeaway from yesterday.
There are more than 300 booths, and the spaces take up 3 large ballrooms. The trade show will be open for a total of 2 days. In Las Vegas, Aaliyah Chavez, Indian Country Today.
Agriculture is important to Indian country, and we talked with Sherry Salway Black and Porter Holder, trustees for the Native American Agriculture Fund.
The Native American Agriculture Fund has provided some support for RES to do a track on agriculture-related businesses, and that's exciting, I think, to really see that track, because we realized through COVID that there is extensive food insecurity in Indian country, and so this is really to help educate ourselves about what are the needs in agriculture for tribes, for individuals, and this all grew out of the Keep Siegel class action lawsuit that was settled and resulted in the Native American Agriculture Fund.
In 1999, a class action lawsuit was filed against the U.S. Department of Agriculture for discrimination against Native American farmers and ranchers. Porter Holder was the lead plaintiff.
I was a lead plaintiff in the Keep Siegel litigations. I'd went into USDA to try to buy a piece of land on there. It was actually on their negative inventory at the time. Had a good business plan, was turned down. Long story short, I was contacted from some other people. We all got together. We got with these attorneys. It took a long drawn out affair. I mean, it was 15 years, a lot of litigations, a lot of lawyer talks that I don't know. I'm a rancher from Oklahoma. I mean, so it's been an experience for me. And your comment about agriculture in Indian country getting overlooked, yes, sir. And you follow that up with the comment of being very important. People overlook it. I mean, we've gotten to the point, and like I said, I'm a rancher, so that's what I'm going to talk. I mean, that's what I know. And we've gotten to the point that we don't know where our food comes from. COVID exposed that. Our food our food source is too far away. So as tribes and as NAF, what we're hoping to do is build entities and fund organizations that can help bring more food security to tribes. And like I said, I'm a rancher, so I'll talk beef all day long. So yes, it's very important, and it does get overlooked on a lot of your reservations, a lot of your tribes. But I think with all of this, with the pandemic and everything waking, I think people are starting to see, we need to get closer to home with our food source.
Talking about education and the business aspect of that, one of the things people don't realize is how the different kinds of businesses that can be related to agriculture. It isn't necessarily, only ranching or farming, but the related industries. And one of the key areas we fund in is education assistance, which is so critical for the young people. So looking at scholarship programs to train in veterinary medicine, or, there's so many kinds of areas, environment, climate, sustainability, all of these kinds of areas that youth can now be trained in, or anyone, to do that. And I think it's really important here. And in the packet, in everybody's conference bag, they received a copy of the plan sort of for agriculture economic feasibility in Indian country. What are the kinds of things that are needed? Infrastructure, education, credit, and that's the key thing in Keepseagle, was because of the denial of credit. So access to capital. We work with native CDFIs, and that's really important too, to do more lending.
Indian Country Today made news itself this week. We're rebranding. This fall, we'll have a new logo, and we welcome Aaliyah Chavez as our new anchor. And I was honored for my work by the National Indian Gaming Association in Las Vegas, Nevada. Mark Trahant, Indian Country Today.
Sometimes you got to take a stand, just because you know you can. Oh, you got to run, you got to run.
This is Indian Country Today.